Are you kidding me, Wisconsin? Now, those of you who live in Wisconsin probably know what I'm talking about, and that is the weather. 2 days ago, it was 75 degrees, beautiful and sunny, and now the weather forecasters are telling us that we're going to have 5 straight days of lows in the 30s. From the 70s and beautiful to near freezing. That's Wisconsin in the spring. Spring will fool you. You think it's here and then it's not. Some people wonder, why in the world do you live in Wisconsin? Sometimes I wonder that too. But really, it leads me to a bigger question, really. A bigger issue in my own heart. And that is that this changing weather, when it's high, when it's low, when it's warm, when it's cold, reminds me of my own spirit, my own commitment and dedication to the Lord. Sometimes I'm really on fire for God. And sometimes I'm really cold and distant. Paul, the apostle, wrote in Romans chapter 7, he struggled with the same thing. And the good that he wanted to do, he didn't do, but the evil he did not want to do, he kept on doing. Now, Paul is an apostle of the Lord. He wrote half the New Testament, which means it's really great that Paul struggled with that, because I can feel a little bit more secure in the fact that I'm not alone in that struggle. Paul dealt with the same thing. But the fact that someone else struggled with the same thing doesn't make it any better, really. It doesn't give me any hope that even St. Paul struggled with sin, sometimes being distant from God. Really, my hope comes from what Paul really asked in Romans 7, and that is, who will save me from this body of death? Who will save me from this life that is subject to dying? And then he answers his own question. Thanks be to God in Christ Jesus. And in the very beginning of Romans chapter 8, Paul says, there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ. There is no condemnation for those who are saved by faith in Jesus Christ. Paul says elsewhere, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, that we have this treasure in jars of clay. We have this treasure from God, and that is salvation through faith in Jesus. But we have it in jars of clay, these earthen, broken, fragile vessels, that is our human bodies. And we have this treasure in jars of clay to remind us that the all-surpassing power is not from ourselves, but from God. So if we're going to have any strength for the time that we're in, if we're going to have any hope for today, it doesn't come from ourselves. It doesn't come from somehow mustering in ourselves the strength and hope that we need. It comes from God. And so today and every day, we don't turn inward. We don't turn to ourselves. We don't turn to our own strength. We turn to God, who has given us hope and salvation in Jesus.